Good evening, everyone. I can't see myself. Hopefully, you all see me. This is Angie here with the RTV Radio Show. We are here this evening with another awesome, awesome story that's going to be told today. Someone that we want to interview to highlight her story. This is still Women's History Month, and I am just so grateful to have. We're going to be trying to highlight some women in our city that are doing some great things in our communities. And before I just go further, I want to say if anyone did not attend the Black Mall event yesterday. It was simply amazing, and that is from another woman that is spearheading that initiative, should I say? It was such a great time, and seeing Black-owned businesses there. So we would talk more about that, but I wanted just to say that this is again Women's History Month, and I want to make sure that we highlight the great things and achievements of women across the city. Today, I have the honor, my namesake, to be spotlighting someone that I believe is doing a tremendous. When you say turning your pain into purpose, you talk about how strong women are. I think this person here that I'm going to be introducing very shortly says it all. Her story is phenomenal. And it's going to, like I said, this is women history, her story. And I want to make sure that, everyone is going to be coming on to the show is going to be able to tell their story. So I have with us today the honor of highlighting and spotlighting Angela Rogers. Just yesterday, she released her own documentary, and it's called The Aftermath. I think it's phenomenal. I can't wait to dive into just how it got started. But Angela, again, this powerful documentary is now on YouTube. It was pushed out yesterday. It was premiered
hmm
yesterday, and I just want to say the flyer on it alone says the aftermath documentary. After the call stop, after the service, after everyone else goes back to their lives, we invite you to take a look inside of the grief parents feel. I'm sorry, inside of the grief parents feel after losing a child. So again, yesterday they premiered the documentary is now on YouTube. And again, Angela Rogers is here that's going to be talking about how it got started, why, and again to tell her story. So thank you, my namesake, Angela, for being on the show. We still have my co-host, brother Nance. He'll be coming in and diving in. But thank you, Angela, for being a guest on our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, look, when I saw it, I was like, wow, I don't know how I missed that. I saw invite next time. But I
Oh,
looked
I'm sorry. I would have invited
at
you.
no, I'm kidding. I don't know if I could have anyway. But anyway, when I saw that it premiered yesterday, I didn't even see it on the news. I talk about often how I don't even watch the news. So I
Me
didn't
either.
see it, but I did see the clip on your page. I was just so, as I stated, just encouraged just to see stories, people that have gone through something that actually is doing great things behind their pain. And so I would like to just kind of bring you in to talk about how, to dive into how you even initiated this Documentary.
Um, so the thought came to me really like right after I lost my son. Right after I lost my son, I like dove right in, like being active, trying to be there for other people.
Hmm.
Doing, I did a news article. I did interviews. I was walking with other people. I was at like different rallies. I just dove right in. Um, and like my mind was just flooding all these things. Like, how can I make a difference? Like, how can I stop this from happening to
Yeah.
other people?
Hmm.
And that was one of the things that came to mind. And then I hit that grief is like a roller coaster.
Hmm.
And then I hit grief hit me,
Hmm.
and like my whole world just stopped. Like all the energy and everything I had going on at that one time, trying to do everything, then grief hit and like knocked the wind out of me. And so it was on freeze for a minute. while I try to deal with my family, try to deal with my feelings, my emotion, and go through things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, no, this needs to be done. So I started reaching out to different moms, and that was kind of hard because some, are willing, some wasn't. And I didn't want to force it on anyone, but I just gave them my vision of what I wanted to do. And then like trying to get everyone together and try to, and then the pandemic hit, and then it was kind of hard to interview people because we had to actually like do individually and go into their homes, and
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of hard, but I wasn't giving up. So it took a minute, but
Yeah.
I'm happy at the outcome. Like I'm happy at the outcome. I think that those that were on there really had a big impact on those who everyone that was said, they would have a big impact. Like those who on there was meant to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um and hopefully it's the first of many because I
Yeah.
want to do more, but I actually want to go from like city to city and do this with other parents of other cities. And I've been invited to come to do DC, so DC would be my next stop
Look at
for
that.
it.
Look at that. One thing you mentioned, or two, I hope I can remember the second one. um, the first one was what really stood out to me was just saying grief hits you. You know, so prior to that, you were saying how you were, doing X, Y, Z, staying active. That's what we do. We try to help others, nurture,
Mhm.
support others just to kind of keep our mind there, or flowing, should I say. But you were very honest about saying grief hit you, meaning it stopped you for a minute, or
Mhm.
gave you a pause, a semicolon, I always say. It gave you
Mhm.
a pause. And can we talk about that pause? I always tell people I like to hear the how, but I also like to hear when you had that pause or when you had that stop or when you had that reality, like you just said, this is the aftermath. The reality hits is that my
Mhm.
son is no longer here. Like I love to hear more about that pause and as well as what kind of, got your fire reignited during that time.
Um,
I know that was a
when that
power.
pause, when that pause hit, when grief hit, it
Hmm.
was like day one. I was at ground zero again.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was like reality of like every time it was quiet, like my mind just wondering
Hmm.
about like what happened, and all I had was to think of like in my imagination of like what happened,
Hmm.
and how my son felt in his last moments because I was not only robbed of him, but I was robbed of spending his last moments with him because I didn't we didn't find out till the day after. My
Hmm.
son was, he was already in the morgue.
Hmm.
So they not only robbed me of his life, they robbed me of being a mom to him all the way up to his last minute because I'm still his mother. So
Yeah.
we was together when we came in, and he came in this world, and I should have been there when he left.
Hmm.
And so they robbed me of that. And when grief hit, I was in the bed. I was in the bed for so long that my skin started to break down. Um, I lost all my hair. My hair was basically like I had a mohawk. Like my hair came out on the sides. Grief hurts. Like my
Yeah.
body was aching so much. Like everything ached, and like the doctors couldn't find anything wrong, but it was grief. Like, I mean, I didn't notice. My memory was bad.
Hmm.
It was just, and it was like on an emotional roller coaster. Like when I was angry, like all my emotions heightened. So when I was upset or on that anger stage, I was really angry, and it got to the point where I didn't know myself. And
Hmm.
so when I got into that stage where I was like upset and angry at the fact that my son was gone, I tried to withdraw and stay to myself because I didn't want to unleash that on anyone that wasn't, they didn't deserve it. Because I wasn't angry at them, but that's how I was. Like I didn't know if I would got mad, I couldn't control like how far I would get because
Yeah.
I didn't know this Angie. Like this is a whole nother person,
Absolutely.
and it was scary. It was
Mhm.
really scary, like to not know like who you are because you no longer that person you was
Longer.
before you lost that child. Like
Mm.
when you lose a part of you, like how can you be that same person? A part
Yeah.
is missing of you, like a huge part.
So I actually started a support group last month, and something it was always on my heart to do. I've been part of, co-hosting or co-sponsoring one, but actually to do my own has been such an eye opener for it. But we talk about um we talk about the emotional roller coaster.
Mhm.
We talk about like whatever happens, whatever works today may not work tomorrow. We talk
Absolutely.
about your emotional roller coasters, your up down. We even talk about, really phantoming the self care. And it sounds like during that pause, that's probably what you were doing because you were reflecting on yourself. You said I had to, sometimes isolate, not necessarily that just go in the shower and just be fully depressed, but I think during that time that was also your moment of really reflecting on yourself. And that self care is very important because if not, I also heard you saying about your body. Your body
Mhm.
talks to you. We call it, it could be like that stress, but it also
Mhm.
could be that grief that's settling in your body. And so I appreciate, those things that you mentioned because that is real. And like I tell
Mhm.
everybody that's attending this support groups, a lot of times when I hear someone say, "Yeah, I just do this, I do that to help," and if I don't hear you saying what you've done for yourself, I say, "Hey, pause." We do a
Mhm.
lot of journaling because if you don't I don't want to say address it, but if you don't look at yourself, the things that are going on, it's going to hit you, like you just said.
Mhm.
And sometimes it hits you at any moment, any given time,
Absolutely.
right? You right. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate looking at the clip from the news. So maybe we can play it a little later. But I appreciated seeing that because it was mainly even in that was mainly like basically you did this documentary as a way to show everyone the effects, the aftermath, and hopefully anyone that tries to think about taking someone's life, they can think about, hey, do you really want your mother to go through the same
Mhm.
thing I'm going through? That was so
Mhm.
powerful.
With every murder comes the ripple effect of grief on their loved ones and community. A Baltimore mom who lost her son to gun violence a few years ago is sharing her experience in a new documentary, hoping to do her part to stop the violence. WMAR 2 News' Abby Isaacs joins us from downtown with a preview.
It was very emotional. The parents in the documentary opening up their hearts to show the pain they still carry, helping people understand the impact gun violence in Baltimore has.
I don't wish that on nobody.
It's a kind of pain you can't put into words.
When it hurts more than I can bear, I pray.
The kind of grief that you can't fully understand unless you've lost a child to gun violence.
The month of December, I hate it. Because his birthday is the 1st. He got killed on the 9th.
So many parents mourning a loss.
I call it the hurt that don't stop hurting.
Their courage on display in a new documentary to show people what it's like.
Because a lot of people only can imagine what we go through.
Angela Royster lost her son Devin to gun violence in Baltimore in 2019.
He was a protector, like we call him a protector of the family.
Since then, she's been working on the documentary, The Aftermath, giving a personal and heart-wrenching look at the grief parents feel after losing a child. And today, a viewing party for the premiere. She thinks everyone should watch it, but she really hopes to reach those who are the ones picking up the guns.
And maybe they would think twice. I'm like, hey, I don't want to do this because this could be my mom. And it will be their mom if the lifestyle that they live in. Like, this will be their mom. This will be their mom's life. Their mom will be just like the one who actually took my son's life. He was murdered. So his mom is where I'm at.
She's also working on producing a similar documentary with families in D.C. who went through the same thing. We have a link to watch The Aftermath on our website, WMAR2news.com. In Baltimore, Abby Isaacs, WMAR2 News.
Wow. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, I don't know. It gives me goosebumps. Like, how does that make
Me too. It does. It does. I think like today, I think it all like set in the day.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday before it, I was like emotional roller coaster. I had a moment.
Yeah.
I just think about my son, and
That is okay.
then I pulled it together.
Hmm.
And it turned out nice, and I'm just so grateful, so thankful that I was able to get through it, and the outcome, and all the text messages and messages I've been getting from people that's saying it. I just love it. I just hope that it reach those who it really, really, really needs to reach.
Yeah. So when I saw it last night, you probably was like, "This crazy ladies is sending me a message." I was blown. Like, I love those stories. I love, it doesn't mean that that's, you, this is it and I'm over
Mhm.
everything. It means that you're using. Um, so here's the one thing we talk about in the support group: you're recycling your pain.
Mhm.
You are taking that pain and you're trying to help others, and hopefully as a recycle you're helping yourself during this time. You're giving yourself that time of continuous healing. But that right there, like I said, when I saw it, I just sent you a message. I thank you for accepting it last night
Of
or
course.
this morning. I don't know what time we were late. But that's what moms do. That
Mhm.
we are nurturers. We want to help. And I love just hearing like that balance that you are, obtaining in your life. And as I stated, just looking at it on at least my screen. I mean, it's a small screen here, but like it's going to go further. It's been on the news. I do believe that this is going to reach everyone it needs to. And I appreciate, I say that it takes so much courage to revisit, to have to tell your story again, or to have to, just kind of revisit that time, because I'm sure there's times when you know the moment, like everything that
Mhm.
was happened down to
Mhm.
when you received the call. I know
Yep.
it.
Every moment.
Yes. So, what are some things that I would say, as you said, you were reaching out to other mothers. Is that something you're still doing, or was it just for this project? I don't know if, like, other projects that you're doing to kind of reach out with other mothers that are going through the same.
No, I still reach out to other mothers.
Hmm.
The mothers that were actually on there, we actually became really close. One of the mothers on there, Julia White, she was on the clip for the news. She
Good.
lost her son the day before I lost mine.
Oh, wow.
And the crazy thing about it is that I just happened to be on Instagram the day that they posted her son. And I
Hmm.
didn't know her, but as a mom, I felt for her. So when I saw it, and then I sent her a message, and I just gave her my condolences and told her, I'm sorry for your loss, and if you need to talk. And this at this moment in time, I didn't even know I had lost my son. And next thing I know, my son's on IG, and I lost my son, and it was like a day apart. And she reached out to me, and we've been really, really close ever since then.
So I was just going to say, I actually had to move to put the charger on. I'm listening though. And so I was going to say how important, that's very important to actually have or form a support group. And that's why
Hmm.
I was asking. For me, it, to me, I've seen that would be like the best healing mechanism. And so I'm happy to hear that is the way that you're going about it as well, because like I said, it opens up a lot when you're talking about your grief. And
Hmm.
that's just phenomenal. And again, I would maybe we should have just had the other women on it too, but when I saw it, I was just like, we got to do it. But
Right
yeah.
now, okay?
So, whenever we want to, you want to come back on, maybe bring the other ladies on, that would be phenomenal to have.
Sure, they would love it. They all for it. When I told after the viewing yesterday, and I told them, I said, so y'all know this is game on now, and they said we ready. I said okay.
Look, listen. I always tell people, I'm like, just kind of be ready, because
Mhm.
it's now, it's so much it's so much grief. I don't even
Mhm.
know the better way to say it. So many people and so many families are going through trauma. And sometimes they're going through the trauma of, they're not even getting over one situation for another happened,
Another. Mhm.
you know. So to hear like the her stories, and even I'm sure that was Devin's father. Um that
Which
was
one?
on that I think that was in the commercial.
No, the guy that
No
was on there.
commercial. Yes.
No, he's actually
Oh,
a
okay.
childhood friend,
Oh, okay.
and he
I was
lost
saying
his
I was saying
he
they
lost
resemble.
he lost his son. That's crazy because while I'm on somebody inbox, he said I didn't know that you were Stevie's your son was Stevie's son. I'm like,
Okay.
it's not like,
I'm sorry.
but you didn't know any better. They know any better. They know better.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't invite you that.
Yeah.
But he's a childhood friend, and no one knew that he was gonna be on there. And like I was explaining to Diamond, I've asked several men because I grew up in Zone 15.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them have lost their sons and lost their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to them because we all grew up together. But some of them like left me on red, didn't read or whatever. But they didn't ask me everything else. But they, but and I left it alone because men are different than women.
Men, I was gonna say men are different.
They're different than women. But when I asked Stevie, he was all for it.
Yes.
All
right,
he's ready.
Stevie.
Yeah, he was all for it. He's ready to do. He told me, he said we need to collaborate on some more stuff. And I said, yeah, we're an awesome duo. And I told him, I said, I'm all for it. He was all for it. When I asked him yesterday to interview with the news, he was like, yes, no problem, and did well. And I knew once it was released yesterday, and then when he posted it today on his page, and everybody saw him on there, my inbox is going with some of the guys that I grew up in 15 said, why didn't you ask me about it? I said, don't do that. Check your inboxes because I did.
Yeah, because they didn't know where you were going. But say, look, you just gotta say yes and just go.
I
and
said, I
believe.
did ask you. I said, but y'all saw Stevie. But I knew that was gonna happen. I said, so now y'all realize. I said, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that you're so right that men, they grieve differently, and it's kind of gonna go into like our next session next week is talking about that, because there's going to be a group of women that are going to be coming on still in this whole Women History Month. I wanted to kind of, even though we just kind of started our show back up, I wanted to at least have this month kind of dedicated to some women. And so next week's is the same. It's going to be women, but they're actually the ones that have been the victim to gun violence, and they pulled together. So this is going to be a little different because I always talk to families, but not necessarily the victim itself, And one of the things that they were, we were talking about was how they try to have some kind of support group for the men, and the men were like, no. The women were like, yeah. So you're right. Right. Brother Nance, I know you're driving, but is there anything you want to say? I don't want to be like...
I can't wait to dive into the documentary. I'm a documentary guy, so it's interesting that perspective, because you're right. I mean, I tell people all the time, once the proceedings are over and everybody do the repass, and I'm going to be there. I got you. I love you, girl. And all that.
You see who's on, Devin? I'm sorry.
I agree with the sister, you know what I mean? So, I'm just looking forward to watching it, advocating for it, and, just pushing it out there so we can get the awareness out there. And like the sister said, I hope that it does change the mindset of those that are out here pulling the trigger, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Definitely the key word that Brother Nance said is that we want to bring awareness. I think it's so important. We have to have these conversations in our community. We have to, listen, there was a whole documentary about stop snitching.
I know.
We need to reverse, and I understand the whole mechanism, and how, I understand all of that on different areas. I've talked to a lot of people. I understand why they're some way, but I also want to make sure that there's a platform to understand that it's okay to talk, it's okay to hurt, it's okay to feel, because what I believe that is happening in our city with the violence, these are recycled hurt, people are hurting. And there's a lot of retaliation. There's a lot of pain. They say pain, so they kind of gravitate to other pain. Hurt people, and that's real. So your platform, your documentary, you're opening yourself, you're being vulnerable, your vulnerability, that is going to speak volume. So I'm already speaking that over you, sister girl.
Thank you. I accept it.
Yes. Now listen, because I just saw Devin Walker. Listen, he was on our show before that, and I'm sorry, to kind of invade a little bit.
No,
but when I saw that he played a part in that, I'm like, Devin was he was a guest on our show.
He did.
Devin, he came. I don't know if he's still there, but Devin came a very long way. He is doing some phenomenal things in the community. He's gifted.
He is.
I remember when he was on the show, he was so shy. Devin, right? Look, he's laughing. Now he is doing it up. He's like, listen, he's my mentor. And they're like, look, listen, you will help me. But yeah, I'm so proud of you, Devin. You did a great job. You always highlighting the great things in our community. And so yeah, I just wanted to bring you in as well for the phenomenal work you're doing of highlighting the stories out there in our community. So how are you doing, Devin?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Yes. So what are you doing in your time? Are you doing any other documentaries? Like Angie, he did something like he did like a little clip of like my life. We went to the scene where my husband was stabbed, and like that was the first time I was there. So Devin plays he holds a really good place in my heart as my brother. And like I said, he's always doing this for so many families, and that's his gift, beyond other things. I watch him and I'm just so, just so proud of you, of Devin, of all the things you're doing. So keep up the great work.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is anything you want to say about this documentary or any other like work you're doing to highlight stories such as this?
As far as this documentary, I'm actually just honored to be a part of it. So I reached out to Angela back in September because I was working on something I wanted her to be a part of. And she explained what she was working on. And to me, what she was working on was more urgent and more heartfelt than what I was doing. So, I mean, I was just honored to be able to help however I could. I think that, and the reason I say that is because I do things like the projects that I create, oftentimes I put my heart into the things that I do. And I think this project came, I'm saying there's a difference.
Her start.
So
I
was just honored to be a part of it.
Yeah. So just helping to have her vision come alive. So that sounds so nice. And that's kind of with like even like restoring the village. That's what we're about, just building that community. And like I said, you won't know what a person need or how you can impact unless we start speaking out. So like I said, Angie, just from having just speaking out with your story, you don't know how many others you're going to impact just by speaking out. And that's what we have to keep doing. Like it's kind of like people don't like talking about these things. Like you said, the men, they don't really grieve as much as the women do. But I would say, like, even in the support group that we're doing, to be honest, the men are really speaking out. But we also have like this private group or whatever.
Told you why though.
Yeah. What's the reason?
What? The reason why the men talking out?
Yeah. Why you say that?
Because it's a safe space to speak. I mean, we bottle a lot of stuff in and we walk around and don't, unless you have trusted confidants, or luckily I have a great circle of men and people around me that I can, I don't have to hold things in, but a lot of people don't have that. So when brothers get an opportunity to really let it out, they're gonna let it out. You know what I mean? And they gonna, and we can learn from each other. We heal better together. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that. Yeah. Brother Nance. I love it. I don't know what that is.
I need to holler at the brother about the documentary. Shit.
So it wasn't just you and I, Devin?
What'd you say?
Was it just you and I on the show? It wasn't Brother Nance. He wasn't there?
No, it was just.
Yeah, because I was like, he was there, but I said maybe he wasn't on that show. Yeah, well, okay.
So are you going to be doing? Are you guys going to be premiering it or like taking it to schools and stuff like that?
Well, you know what? I didn't think about that.
I mean, because I was asking because I work in the schools. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that would be a great space to show it and just to have some like type of conversations. And even if it's like, because I'm an educator by trade, so like if it's like some talking sessions with kids about it, you know what I mean, about how they feel, because I know just in the area which I work in, they done lost a lot of youth around there, you know what I'm saying, like friends and stuff like that. So having an opportunity to talk about loss and just how the violence impacts us, and you know what I mean. I think that that'd be a good avenue to take it to the front lines. You know what I mean?
I didn't think about that, but I'm open. I'm open to it.
That's great.
All right, so yeah, Angie got my information. We can talk offline.
I'm most definitely open to it.
Is that Brother Nance with his phone?
I just put a little vibe. My bad.
Look, that's what we all pausing for. Like, what?
Restoring the Village Radio, is all, we live. You know, what I mean, we live.
He's always live. I'm stationary.
We live. No, but
Hey,
I think that, getting with other support groups, and just having conversations about it, roundtable discussions about it, before we can push the information out. I love documentaries, you know what I mean, because it gives you a really deeper insight on what people went through or the situation, or as if you were there. So, I'm glad that, I feel like this documentary is speaking for the voiceless, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, like you said, goes in silos and they got to deal with that grief alone.
You said you cannot hear?
Hello,
Angie?
Y'all can't hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know. Angie, can you hear? Technology. I can hear everyone, so I'm not sure. Okay, so maybe she has to maybe come out and come back in. So yeah, we are here. Maybe some little technical. Angie, can you hear now? No. Okay. So
well, like I was saying though, man, like I really think that, this documentary is really representing the voiceless, you know what I mean? Those that, sit by themselves when it's all said and done, the mothers and the fathers, you know what I mean? And I know it's very hard, especially the mothers that it was their only son, you know what I'm saying? Like, or their only daughter, or they, you know what I mean? Like, it's just losing a kid in general period is hard. Losing your only one, or you know what I mean? Like, I've known people that lost their only son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they haven't been right since. You know what I mean? I can't be.
You said earlier, I'm sure you heard, but just that emotional roller coaster, and that pause. So she said it hit her and it just stopped her. So that's very true, Brother Nance.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with, like I tell people all the time, you can't judge people on how they mourn. You know what I'm saying? You can't judge people. You're never, like, my dad died when I was 10 years old, and I will never get over that. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I move differently as I've gotten older and understand? Absolutely. Yes. But like, I never allowed no one to tell me, hey, stop talking about your dad, or hey, like, nah, I'm gonna forever talk about that. Just like parents don't ever talk about their kid, because like
absolutely.
Once you get an ancestor, the ancestor's supposed to fuel you and guide you. And look what that ancestor did. It birthed a documentary that's hopefully able to change and save other lives. You know what I mean? So, I commend you for even having the courage to even do the documentary and to open up that wound constantly. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that in itself, I got to give you a hand clap, high five, a hug, and a fist bump. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Because that takes a lot, because you reliving it every day as you talk about it. But, talking about it actually helps you heal too.
Absolutely.
It helps you heal too. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I said we heal better together. And your story may help a mother that's struggling with putting her pieces back together. You know what I mean? Because sometimes parents lose a kid and all the other kids are impacted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
that's
like
true.
All the kids lost their mother. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I went to one of the schools and I said, throughout the conversation, I asked the question of how many have lost someone this year. I said this year. I didn't say like in general. And do you know those hands? These are school age. High schoolers, and their hands, like they knew someone, a friend, a cousin, a brother. I didn't ask like the relation, but just to know that someone has been impacted by gun violence this year, and most of them raise their hand, that hurts, and it's like, what do we do? What can we do? And so if it's a way to bring the documentary in, or like, you're more than welcome to come to the support group. You're more than welcome if I need to collaborate some kind of way to help you, like whatever it is, to get the word out to the people, to reach them. Because right now they are isolating themselves, like you just said earlier, right? But maybe their support system is not there, Brother Nance. Like he said, he has a great support system. Maybe they don't have one. Maybe they don't have a Devin that can help them highlight their story. We need to help them help them, encourage them to tap into their purpose. And sometimes it's just a matter of being in a circle, being in that village, being being groomed, not say groomed, but just being encouraged. Like
Mhm.
you encourage me to say, "Hey, I want to do a documentary. Hey, Devin, let's talk about." Like I'm saying, it's going to be so phenomenal once you have already seen someone. If you just see pain, hurt, crying, but you don't see triumph, you don't see hope. It doesn't go too far. That's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm very encouraged to see the documentary itself. It just kind of premiered and launched yesterday.
Yay,
Um,
yay, yay, yay. Shout out to the
we're gonna put the
documentary. Black
information, the link.
documentaries matter, baby. Black
We're
documentaries matter, shorty.
gonna put the link in
Absolutely.
when we share this out to let people know about the podcast and the segment here, and also like with maybe on our platforms and social media. So we'll make sure that people know that they can follow that link. They can look at it in their own time. Maybe they're not ready right now. Whatever it may be is
Mhm.
available, and we want people to know. Like, what are some? And I guess we still got some time, but like, what are some things you would say to someone who is, I don't even say out there in the world, because I don't even know. Like, we don't know why someone may decide to take someone's life. Are they just angry? Did it just go bad? Like, I don't know, right?
That's a
But
whole
Mhm.
nother. That's a whole
what
nother
are you?
show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what would you say to a young person or just a person in general, to kind of like encourage them not to go down that route, to encourage them not to allow another mother to suffer and to hurt?
I would tell another young, and not only young because it's
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to say young. Just yeah.
yeah, anyone that is contemplating dealing with whatever their issue is with
Mhm.
gun violence, like to
Mhm.
pause, think about it, and think about the consequences, but not only the consequences, but the end result. The end
Yeah.
result is like for me, and I just what I explained to them yesterday. If the person who took my son's life was angry at me and his intentions of taking my son's life was to get back at me, they were successful.
Mhm.
Their anger was towards my son. They took my son's life. He's not here anymore.
Mhm.
It's the ones that's left behind that's suffering. So
Yes.
if that was your goal was to hurt me, my kids, and my family, then they're successful.
Mhm.
But by taking someone else's life, like you're what are you proving? Like it's it's like it's no what do you get out of it?
Mhm.
Because they're no longer here. So and put yourself in my shoes
Mhm.
or in that person's shoes, and think about those who gonna be left behind when it happens to you. Because living that lifestyle, it's gonna happen to you. So
Mhm.
put yourself in those shoes, thinking like, okay, when I'm gone, who's gonna be left here to mourn me for the rest of their life? Because it's not like I'm gonna grieve for like a month, or
Yeah.
my grief stop when
Mhm.
everybody else go back to reality. That's when my life started.
Yes.
And didn't even think about that. Like think about like this gonna be my mom. This gonna be my mom. And your mom, and and it takes a lot to lose a child and to continue to go on and get up every day and go on with your
Yes.
life.
Yes.
So your mom might not have it in her to keep going.
Yes.
So, because there are parents who don't have it in them to keep going, who wind up taking their own lives.
True.
So you need to think about that, or your siblings not strong enough to take the loss of you that might contemplate on taking their own life. So
Mhm.
there is a lot of things that happens when you take someone else's life to that family, and
Mhm.
people don't think about that. They just think
No.
about the here and now. Like I'm
Mhm.
mad, I'm going to do this, because they don't know how to deal with anger. They don't know how to deal with their egos being bruised. They don't know how to deal with conflict. Like they don't have the skills to deal with any of this. And so
Mhm.
that's their results. They pick up a gun and they go out here and they start taking people's lives. And this was left behind. Like the families are left here grieving, and sooner or later, they're gonna be next.
Yeah. Devin, I see you over there bumping your head. You want to chime in on that? It's just in your role, like telling the story, being a journalist as you are. Like, what are some things that same question. What are some things you can kind of put out to try to encourage people not to go down that road?
I think it takes a lot, right? It's going to take conflict resolution skills that I think should be taught at a younger age, maybe in school. But I think it takes so much to just for everybody to heal, because everybody needs some healing, right? Everybody is experiencing some sort of trauma, whether they know it or not, just from the environment we live in. And so I really don't know. I think we need a stronger mental health approach to everyday situations. But I think I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that but it's going to take a lot. It's going to be more than just a criminal justice approach. You're going to need that. You're going to need a mental health approach. You're going to need some type of mentorship for the kids and their parents, whoever they live with, because it doesn't teach all of these skills in school, but then you're going home to the same environment. So
thank you. Yes.
But I'm hopeful that it can be done, or done on a larger scale than it is right now.
Thank you, Devin, for that. You hit it. For me, you hit it on the nose. Because even if that person is like angry, we can say, "Hey, you look how you're going to affect our family." But if they're already in a mindset of like, "I don't even care about me living anymore," some people are like a time bomb. Like, they just tick, 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 tick. You step on their shoe, they just ready to go because they're angry. And like you said, we can't, the criminal, we can't police this thing out. We need everything. We need that mental health. Some people are not even, I would say, if they are diagnosed, or maybe they just don't even know they're diagnosed. So there's a whole mental health aspect of this that is not even being addressed in our Black communities. Let's just talk about that. Like, that's not even like kind of shined on like in other kind of demographics. So that's very important that you hit that on the nose.
I also believe that, we got to definitely not forget about the educational levels of our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that plays a major role. You know what I mean? I think that's the element that people don't want to talk about. Think about the kid that, has the behavior issues, right? And then you get to the root of it is they're in the 7th grade reading on the 2nd grade level, and they can't participate. So they both beating other kids up. You know what I mean? Then next thing you know, they're getting suspended. Then next thing you know, they're the kids that's outside. You know what I mean? And again, we don't have neighborhoods or communities no more. I've never seen this many adults outside in my life during the daytime, just doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just mind-boggling. You know what I mean? I grew up in Northwest Baltimore, and I didn't know the neighborhood I grew up in. I didn't even know they was hustling at the store I walked to every day till I was like 21 years old. And I went there every single day for my grandmother. You know what I mean? So I say all that to say is like, we live in addresses. We don't have communities. No one is pulling up each other's children. You know what I mean? With adults are reason why these children are raising themselves. I feel bad for these young people because they have the problems of adults. You know what I mean? And the adults can't handle the problem. So how do you expect an undeveloped mind, an undeveloped heart? Let's talk about the undeveloped heart that is broken. You know what I mean? There's a lot of I call this the heartless youth generation. That's why they don't care about nobody else's life. No one cares about them. They hear it in the music that no one cares about them. The school system say they don't care about them. The TV say you ain't gonna be nothing. Everybody, it's too many old people scared of the young people. You know
Absolutely.
Like, it's too many men don't want to pull the little kids up, and you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I went back into the education system, because I wanted the kids. I taught middle school for a reason, so I can catch them and I can put that will and build that character up. Because a lot of times, in order to achieve something, you got to build the character up in the belief first. You know what I mean? You can get 1 million rec centers, you can have all the mentors and programs that you want. But until that person believes or that person feels the love that's needed to get them over whatever they're dealing with, you know what I mean? There's a lot of heartbroken people out here, you know what I mean? And that's why the cycle continues. Because you kill somebody and you want to get revenge, especially in Baltimore, it's small. Everybody knows who killed everybody. Don't get it confused. Everybody knows who killed everybody. Don't get it confused. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get it confused. But no one, we have this thing where as though, it's like a retarded code of honor not to tell the truth about something that you saw. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if somebody, I tell my friends all the time, if I see somebody do something to you,
out of the obligation, the fact that I know your kids, your mother, I'm going to say such and such did that, period. You know what I mean? Call me a snitch, a rat, or whatever you want. But if you took an innocent person's life that had nothing to do with it, then, you know what I mean? But when you in that other world, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know, that's we don't know what happens in that world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You foul in that. You know what I mean?
Now we have a comment. I'd like to acknowledge the audience here. Erica Hamlet says we also need parenting classes because we are reaching the children that go home to unhealed, unaware adults.
Exactly. You can't be mad at a parent that wasn't parented. How can you get mad at a parent that wasn't parented? They don't know what they're doing. I was parented and grandparented. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
People ain't got grandparents. They grandparents, it's their cousin age. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like we had grandparents rearing us and mothers and uncles. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't be. That's why parents, when we're not even equipping them with all the tools that they need to be successful.
Woo! Listen, we Angela said, "Wait a minute, like you put your documentary started here."
Because the thing about we point too many fingers instead of getting to the root cause. You know what I'm saying? They about pointing fingers. Like once they pull the trigger, it's done. Now let's get to the root. See how can we, avoid this or. Unfortunately, until more opportunities come and until drugs are legalized where people can walk in Rite Aid and get their drugs, you know what I'm saying? Like we always gonna have these problems, you know what I mean? So, if we can minimize it a little bit. I was talking to a community advocate today and I was telling them how, like, my fight used to be in the community, in the streets, and you know what I mean, but it was so draining, you know what I mean, that like I wound up becoming a victim just from being mentally exhausted. So I can only imagine what a parent goes through that loses a child. You know what I mean? So it's like coming up with real body solutions. So I think this is a great solution just to have awareness, for us to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because again, you're right. The aftermath. What does the aftermath look like? What does it feel like? Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Let's heal together. So anything I can do to promote y'all documentary.
Together. I love
anything I can do to promote y'all documentary. You know what I mean? I have a plant-based cafe. So even if y'all wanted to do a viewing over there, you know what I mean? We just let me know. I can, bring a TV up there or whatever. We can do a little viewing. Whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? I'm looking to my school, see if we can get the middle school to look at it. I want to watch it first just so I can see the level of energy in there. Cause sometimes things like that, trigger other people for, you know what I mean, crying. So I just want to be mindful. We deal with young, impressionable minds again that still don't understand, the process of grieving and mourning. It's a whole process. You know what I mean? So again, I give thanks to both of y'all, man. Like, salute to you. Black documentary matter, baby. Black documentary matter.
Erica is doing some great things too. She has a group going on now, support group, and she's helping those families that are dealing with drug addiction. So, and one thing, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but one thing she's saying is that not everyone has a loving home to go to, and I guess that's what Brother Nance said about how people have addresses and we just don't have that community anymore. Yeah. Devin, you want to say something?
Oh no, I just wanted to clear up that this isn't my documentary. I was able to help.
Oh yeah, we know.
Oh, you didn't film it? You didn't film it?
I did I did some stuff, some editing and everything, but
well, brother, you did one of the most important pieces of the whole situation. So it is your documentary.
I hope I didn't put it out that way. We have Angela's documentary.
Hey, you got one fingerprint on that, brother. It's your documentary. It's our documentary.
Absolutely, because Devin came in and he put it together for me. Someone else did the interviews, but it was like I just had like a bunch of interviews and I don't know how to edit. I didn't know how to go from there, but I just had this vision, and I came in. He came. I just gave him a thumbs up. I was like, huh.
Yeah. Devin's always doing that. So I want to say, yes, I've been saying this is her story, that she's done this thing, and here he goes, as humble as he always is, and I appreciate that. But yeah, you played a part in it, as well as others, like all the women played the part, like everybody who's in there that had to open their mouth, do anything behind the scenes or just in the front line of it, has done something. And we thank God for Angie's vision on this. She said her next stop her next stop is in DC, and she want to take this
Yeah.
around the country. So I'm just like, I'm very just excited for where God's going to take you. And you know, yes, Erica, I'm about to say the same thing. Kudos and love to you know, to you for your visions. What Erica said, I don't think y'all can see that, but yeah, kudos to you. The vision, it takes a lot to revisit the pain that you've gone through, but to actually see that purpose, and you're going to see it even further than which your eyes can even imagine. So you know, thank you for just kind of stepping forward and walking in your purpose.
Thank you.
Walking in your purpose. Walking in your power and your purpose. That's what it's all about. Walking in your power and purpose is going to give you peace. You know what I mean?
Listen, so, I'm happy to be back. Like, this is our second show now. Our first one was just us cracking, you know, trying to catch up on things. But there's going to be some great things going on. Like I said, anyone that's tuned in, next week we're going to actually talk to a group of women. This is still in Women's History, the Women's History Month, telling her story. So we're going to have a phenomenal group of women that actually is forming their own support group. And this is a little different for me because I'm always talking to someone that has gone through losing their loved one. But these women are actually victim of gun violence themselves, and just pulled together just from, you know, meeting up through shock trauma. And we're going to talk about that whole like connection, a divine connection. I always say you just never know until we just open our mouths and we walk into our purpose. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to just going forward to like continue to bring people on that are doing great things in our communities. We want to get some of our men to speak as well when you're ready. But we want you to know, like, your story is so powerful. And the more you talk about it, the more our families and communities are going to heal.
You know what's so interesting, Angie? You know what I always wondered? Like, I always wondered, like, does anybody ever go talk to the people that did the killing that's in jail? You know what I'm saying? Like, the young people that were 16-year-old or the 17-year-old or the 14-year-old or the 21-year-old that's now 25. You know what I mean? Like, I'll always be wondering, you know, where's your mind at now? Where's your heart at? You know what I mean? Because, like I said, no one wins, especially if you get caught. No one wins.
I don't think you get caught even if you didn't win. Because I mean, you
get caught or not.
I'm just saying.
I mean, whether you get caught or you don't get caught, you're conscious. Like I tell people all the time, even people that don't take care of their kids, right?
Absolutely.
People that don't take care of their kids, no one is walking around happy. That's why they drunk arts or weed heads or, you know what I mean, having a bad.
They are medicating themselves. They're numbing the pain.
No one. Yo, when you know right from wrong and you do something wrong, it forever live with you. Like I tell people all the time, you can be with somebody every day, but you got
it's haunting them.
You gotta sleep with your problems and your issues every day. No matter if you sleep with somebody every day. I don't know what you went through in your day. You know what I mean? So I just, you know, again, man, it's so many stories we can tell off of this one documentary. So I hope that this documentary actually sparks you to continue to work. You know what I mean? Whatever it looks like. You know what I mean? Whatever it looks like. Who's to say you won't be directing something bigger than that? You know what I mean?
Maybe on the big screen at the movie theaters.
Yeah, and doing a conference, you know what I mean? Doing a conference about it, you know what I mean? Because this is not just a Baltimore thing, a DC thing. This is a Chicago thing, a LA thing, a Nebraska thing. This is a wherever it's, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wherever it's a struggle, this is something that's real, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
again, man, you know, like I said in the beginning, sorry I missed the beginning part of the interview, but I was, you know,
I dropped all the links, so he gonna follow up on it.
I'm watching that tonight, you know what I mean? I probably watched it on my ride. I gotta drive an hour, so I'm probably gonna watch it. How long is the documentary?
It's less than 40 minutes.
Okay. Oh well, perfect. I mean, right? Did you put that?
And that actually is good, like a good conversation starter, you know, or even cutting it up, or you know, looking at certain ones on there. So again, we have on here our special guest, Miss Angela Rodgers. She is actually here. We were spotlighting her on, you know, just premiering her documentary, The Aftermath. God placed it on her heart to put this documentary together where other women who have lost their children, I don't know if it's all children or not, but that they lost their children, they are talking about the aftermath. And many times we don't talk about that, or at least are open up. So I'm so grateful to have Angie on here to talk about how she has felt throughout this whole process. And she didn't say it was just like I'd have put my Superwoman, cape on. It was good. She said I paused. She said it hit me. She said she, emotional roller coaster. She said all of that. But what she didn't say is that she did not say she quit. She continued to do this. Her documentary premiered yesterday. And now it's on YouTube. We're going to put it in in our chat, the chat, as well as when we share it out. But again, I just wanted to read this because it is just so powerful for me. And hopefully everyone who is just even tuned in now, that you'll tune in and look at it, the earlier part of this. But it says, after the call stopped. How many of you know after the call stops, all the people leave after the funeral? I mean, I'm elaborating because I know. But after the call stopped, after the service, after everyone else goes back to their lives, we invite you to take a look at the inside of the grieving parents and how they feel after losing a child. Kudos to you. Keep going.
Thank you.
And I'm just gonna, we got about 5 minutes, but I want to give you time just to any lasting comments that you have to say. I mean, we dived in a lot, and I would love to have you come back, bring those women back. We'll have a panel discussion. Maybe we have a discussion on the documentary, whatever you want to do. We're here to support you. So is anything you would like to say? Anything lasting comments?
Just watch, please watch the documentary, share. And if there's no specific person that I want to see this documentary, I think everyone should watch this documentary, because even the younger kids, like those will be the kids of tomorrow, and so they need to see this too. They need to see this and see, so if they even think about it when they get older, because now you have young kids, like school age kids out here toting guns. So there is no age limits. There's no age limit to people who's picking up these guns. I think there should be no age limits to who should see this documentary, and maybe it'll make them second guess picking up a gun and taking someone's life. And because a lot of kids, whether they're bad or good, they love their parents.
Yes,
they love their parents, and they really don't want to disappoint their parents.
They don't.
And I just hope that this part that resonates with them, like they don't, because if you do pick up a gun and take someone out, like you're disappointing your parent, like you're disappointing your mother, and you're gonna send her into this journey that I'm on. And I don't wish this journey on no one. No one. It's a lifelong journey, and I don't want to invite anybody else to this club. I wish we could stop this club, and right now where it's at, but unfortunately, it's the numbers are steady growing. It's steady growing, and it's sad that it's steady growing.
Yes. I wish we had so much more time. This is so good. This is actually like my area here. I love, like I said, it's even more when I love to see someone's story and how they are, being triumphant. And I love that. I love to see that that recycled pain, how they utilize. I've seen books, documentaries, support groups, just talking to people. Maybe it started them getting into becoming a therapist, whatever it is. I always feel like it's going to do something. It's going to either do one way or another. And we want to hope that would be the another, where you are doing something positive for yourself and for others. I always mention about self-care. And as much as we want to pour out to any and everybody, we want to make sure that we're also taking the time for self-care, for loving ourselves, pouring back into ourselves, and giving ourselves enough time to pause when we need that. And Devin, did you have any lasting comments?
No, I think this was great.
Oh, good. So we get 2 thumbs up. Now Devin has a podcast too, or I don't know. He has a whole studio. I don't know what's going on over there. Every time I look my eyes, you're doing something different. Keep up the great work, my brother. You're doing some amazing things, and we love each and every one of you all. I'm gonna send it over to Brother Nance, his lasting comments, and he's gonna let us come out of this thing on the top.
Well, again,
what is it called again? Manifestation Monday.
It could be a miracle on Monday, whatever it is. I mean, we wake up this morning, it was a miracle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank y'all too for coming on the show. Appreciate y'all. Great information. Again, that's what the show is about. Restoring the village. Creating opportunities to spread our message and control our narrative. And I just appreciate the opportunity, and it was an honor to have you guys on the show. So like we tell our audience all the time, you know, we don't have good days, we create them so we can spread our love, light, peace, power, energy to the world. We love y'all, man. You know, restoring the village. You know, spreading Nance here with Angie. You know.
Hey, see y'all next week. Peace, peace, peace.
Good night.
No, and go check out that documentary tonight.
Absolutely,
guys.
guys.
You can watch it on your phone. It's on YouTube. You ain't even gotta have a Netflix account. You ain't gotta have no excuses. If she don't get them numbers, it's a problem.
Right, right.
That's how we get those numbers. Watch it.
If we don't get them numbers with the amount of murders we got in this town, that's a problem.
That's a problem. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If we don't get 1 million views and she get a blue check and verified and getting that money, we did a disservice. Straight up. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
See y'all next week because y'all got him fired up on another episode.
Yes.
Peace.
You know what I'm saying? Tired of talk. Let's get it in. Let's get the money so she can spread this message on a deeper level and be part